Okay, should be loading.
We're enjoying the start of a week.
Thank you for letting me know. It's a rather big set of slides, so it takes some time to load. I've got like over 100 something slides, but don't worry, I won't go through everything. The intention, as always, the way that I usually like to engage colleagues in these sessions is for you to interrupt anytime. We don't have to go through everything that I've prepared. I mean, you can always share your ideas rather than me talking about what I want to talk about. So I hope you can see the slides now. Is it displaying all right?
That's showing fine.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Laura. So yeah, I mean, Laura has already mentioned, my name is Jimmy. So I work in the central TEL team. That stands for Technology Enhanced Learning. Oh, we've got some colleagues joining. If you can stay muted, that'd be very useful. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether some colleagues already joined this session last time. Do you remember me by any chance last July/August? Or this is quite new to you? Anybody remember attending this session? No? Well, if not, it's all right. If you have, we can always recap the things that we've said last time and see whether your practice of using AI has changed in the past 12 months. So I'll be looking forward to your sharing if that's possible. It's a rather long session. I've got a lot prepared. I'll try to break it down into different parts. So as you can see, that's the title. We'll be talking about how we actually incorporate AI in Greenwich and hence in your institutions as partners. There are some practical elements in the session as well, because I think from the feedback last year, colleagues would very much like to learn more about how we can actually use AI in practice. So Laura and I have already prepared some of these practical demos in the session, and also giving you some ideas as to how we can use AI effectively. So I hope that's clear. Any questions before I actually go into the details? If not, then that's part one. I mean, adapting to Gen AI at Greenwich and across higher education. I don't know what you think, but I usually start with this question as, has your practice changed in the past 4 years since ChatGPT? Anybody wants to talk about this? Any ideas? If nobody says anything, I'm just going to ask Laura. Oh, we've got someone. Hi. Yusuf?
Yes. Of course, our usage of AI changed in the past year or 6 months specifically. Our workflow definitely changed using Claude in our workflow, using Codex in programming, and also creating slides, contents, presentations. It was definitely helpful.
Oh, that's brilliant. Am I right to hear that is that you use Claude in your institution?
Not specifically in institution, it's a personal subscription.
Oh, okay, so using it for yourself. So it's not provided by the institution, but you just pay for it yourself. Is that right?
Yes, it increases my productivity a lot.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Do you know what we use at Greenwich? I mean, Claude is great. I use it as well. But have you happened to use our own institution's Gen AI tool?
No, I didn't. I don't know about it.
Okay. Anybody knows what we use at Greenwich? Abdullah, do you know? If you got a hand up.
No, I don't actually know about how to use the Greenwich AI system. Although I do have experience of using Notebook LM to prepare slides and lectures. That's a really helpful tool, which is really good when preparing your lectures and summarizing stuff from the textbooks and joining all the articles. So that's how I use AI and incorporate that in my teaching.
That's brilliant. I suppose you're talking about the Google's AI tool, Notebook LM. That is very useful. Yeah, that's also very popular as well. For some reason, I've got some echo. Is it my audio or? thing's working now. Do I?
Yeah, I think you're
is the
okay
audio
now.
working? It's back now. All right. Yeah, thank you. I find it quite interesting that we've got Yusuf talk about Claude. So that's provided by the company Anthropic. That's a very popular AI tool. Abdullah mentioned about Google's NoBLM, which they also have a Gemini AI tool, also very popular. Anybody knows what we're doing at Greenwich? I mean, actually, you might know that we actually use Microsoft's Copilot. Has anybody used that? I can see Nora loading. I use it. Abdullah, you use it. You use it as well. So yeah, I mean, of course, colleagues, you're free to use whatever you want. I use all of the above, but at Greenwich, we tend to advise colleagues to use Copilot, given that it's part of the enterprise-grade tool that we provide, ensuring that everybody, including students, as long as you've got your university credential, you can log into Copilot via your single sign-on, and that will lead you to the enterprise paid version of Copilot, because if you don't log in, you'll be using the free version, and the problem is they impose a more restrictive limit as to how much you can use Copilot. You don't get all the tools that you would like to use. Say, for instance, you can create videos, audios, and all other kinds of multimodal content with Copilot. And also when it comes to using text-based generation, you've got much more context window once you've logged in via your single sign-on to Copilot. And also because it's enterprise grade, your data will be protected as well. So you and your students, you don't have to worry about uploading your content into Copilot, because that is part of the university's safe environment. When it comes to other premium tools or free tools out there, I mean, we understand that students may use it. Colleagues in your own professional, personal lives, you might use it. But when it comes to the work that we do at Greenwich, I think the university advises us to use Copilot, and hence that will be the tool that I'll be focusing on. But personally, I love using Claude. I love using Gemini, NotableM as well. So that's very useful to know. I can see some colleagues mentioning that you're using the free Copilot. Yeah, please do log in. I mean, it's quite different. I think we're using the education version of Copilot. So there are some features that are more bespoke for educational use cases, which I will show you later in this session. So you can create lesson plans, you can create infographics, etc. And as you may know, if you're using Copilot or Microsoft, when you actually create files, when you share with your colleagues, it's actually stored in the cloud, which is called OneDrive. So it's quite easy. If you're going to use Copilot, after logging in, you can simply upload the documents already stored on your OneDrive. So as you may know, when it comes to using AI, it becomes much more effective if we provide the context to AI. So it knows what you want, it knows what you're doing. So having OneDrive seamlessly connected to Copilot allows you to upload your own maybe proprietary documents to Copilot. That enhances your productivity when it comes to using AI. So if you're using other tools out there, it's good, but the problem is you may not be comfortable sharing your own sort of business sensitive documents, and also it's not connected to your OneDrive. So hence, please consider using Copilot. Any other comments, ideas as to how you've used AI? Stop me anytime. I think last year, when I started the session, I asked colleagues how you've been approaching AI. So I asked them, but basically sharing the experiences and the comments from colleagues at Greenwich and elsewhere ever since ChatGPT in late 22. People tend to think that AI is no good. Some think that AI is no good. They're very skeptical. Some say that AI is very powerful, but they're having a hard time learning everything, keeping themselves updated with AI. So that's a second kind of comments when it comes to AI. And I think majority of colleagues selected option 3. So they thought that it's a good thing to work closely with AI. And I believe nowadays, 4 years after ChatGPT, I believe that is pretty much the norm now, that people think or know that AI is not going anywhere. You can't really fight it. I mean, we of course have to acknowledge there are limitations when it comes to using AI. It hallucinates. It takes time to verify AI output. They have biases because they're drawing on data from the internet generated by human. So at times it may exhibit some biases. So we have to be mindful of using AI content. It could be quite generalized. It could be quite generic. So if you don't provide sufficient context, the output that you get may not always be great. So there are a lot of skepticisms. But that said, many, I would say majority, the mainstream, everyone think that, okay, even though we know that there are limitations, it's also very powerful. Learning how to use it well is quite important. Employers expect our students when they graduate to be able to demonstrate the AI literacy that they look for, saving time. We're all very busy academics, educators. So using AI well, saving us time, so give us more time to do the more high level, valuable work. So working closely with AI is very important. So I thought that instead of asking you what you think about your approach, I will assume that everybody attending here welcome the idea of using AI. And I have encapsulated what people think about AI, academics like yourselves, into this Copilot generated video. So it took me about 2 minutes to generate this. So I'm just going to show it to you, and I hope the audio is working. Let me know if it doesn't work. I suppose, I don't know whether you've used text to video generation. Anybody has tried that with maybe Copilot or the tools of your choice? Anybody? I can see Abdullah nodding. Well, if you're using Notebook LM, I think at the beginning they rolled that out in 23, 24, and people thought that was brilliant. They've got this podcast feature that's called Audio Overview. But I think earlier this year, they've got this video overview feature where you can upload your slides. You can, of course, you're nodding as well. You can just enter some prompts, then it generates a video version of your notes for you. So if you're a student or for your students, they can use that to help them learn. If you are using that for your teaching, you may be able to upload that to your learning management system, maybe Moodle, and then they can actually see in a very short, I don't know, 3-5 minutes clip to actually see about what you want to talk about as an overview of your topic on a weekly basis. So I don't know, Abdullah, you've got your hand up again, please.
And now, because mostly our students are using social media so much, and it's all about the short videos and reels. So if we are making those videos or reminder clips in portrait form, so Google is also really helpful with that. They allow us to make those short videos, which is very easy to share and just share on our WhatsApp groups and stuff like that to help the student with the key concepts or the key terms, definitions, things like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for mentioning that. That's a very good point. I mean, oh, there's some echoes. Oh, thank you very much. I know it happens all the time. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. I've been told that many students, the way that they learn is quite different from maybe the way that I learned. They prefer bite-sized like content that like what Abdullah you mentioned about like the use of social media. So having short videos or short audio overviews would really help them learn the topics. I don't know, anybody has used video generation or maybe audio generation with AI in your teaching? please
Yeah,
feel free to let me know. Oh, hi.
I use Notebook. Hi, Professor. I use Notebook LM,
Oh, you do?
and I used Gemini story book. I'm not sure about the name. Storybook.
Hmm.
Yeah, I use both of them to make the class more engaging.
Thank you very much. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you have tried using Gemini, Google's Gemini. I think what you're talking about is the storybook. I think they rolled that out 3 years ago as well. Basically, it turns your content into, well, basically storify it, turn it into a story, isn't it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, Gemini Storybook.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not limited to just educational purposes. I've heard actually parents turn, like, I don't know, interesting facts or things that they want to teach the children into the story, basically. So it's actually quite useful. So basically, the way that we can acquire knowledge, usually we tend to pay more attention, we memorize better if they're storified. So that is also very useful. I mean, I'm sure that maybe in your teaching practices, you might be using case studies to help your students learn. So if you can also just simply change some of the content to stories, that certainly helps. I can see some hands. I can see which colleague. Let me just see who's.
Hello.
Hi, Ahmed.
Actually, also I'm using Notebook LM, but I'm using in a specific way. Sometimes I give him only a slide in a PDF form. Then I ask him to make a slide more organized or add some more details, make it more beautiful. So in this case, I give him the content I want, and I can exactly give him what I need from him. Also, sometimes I use Quinn AI. Just I give him the idea of my lecture and ask him for an activity, because of course I'm teaching that lectures maybe for 10 years now. Of course, something is added every semester, but sometimes you feel I don't have any new ideas for activities. So when I share that part and ask him for activity or for engaging opening, he's giving me very nice ideas, very precise, because I ask him for a precise task, and I think this is very helpful. I don't give him all the tasks, give me the lecture or give me the lesson plan. Just I ask him for an activity about this part, which is could be for the level. I ask him for the activity for the university student level or the postgrad student level. At this time, it would be helpful, give you new ideas, refresh your brain, and I from my experience, I think is very helpful.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. I think that's a very good point as well. I mean, using AI to check or actually ask for advice as to how we can improve how to teach. I mean, of course, you know your subject very well. You've been teaching for over a decade. Then using AI to generate other kinds of content, or perhaps providing some ideas as you can actually make changes to your teaching practice to improve. I think that's also brilliant as well. I can see many colleagues prefer using Google, which I myself do as well. Yeah, but that's a good, interesting observation. Adele?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm frequently using Copilot or ChatGPT or Gemini. Maybe the last time I need the help of this AI tools to, for example, preparing repetitive documents that I send to my students, like the outlines for the project. For example, the last task I have finished. We have a project, term project. I need to send the students the details of the project. In that case, I need help. The AI tool will be helpful for this tasks here. And in some situations, I'm asking my students to using AI in presentations, for example, or preparing some documents to be more organized. That will be helpful, yeah.
That's also excellent. I mean, in some cases we do, well, I mean, we actually try to advise colleagues where possible to incorporate or to embed the use of AI into the assessment process as well. Because I mean, let's face it, students will have to use AI in the workplace. Hence, for the sake of employability, we should really bring in the use of AI as part of the learning journey. So I can see that you are doing that as well already. And also, I think I've missed some points earlier from Ahmed. You use Quen as well. So I don't know whether you know, but there are also other tools apart from the commercial tools like Copilot, Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT. Some people are using some of the other open source models, maybe Kimi, etc. So many tools out there. We once again we use Copilot, as I've mentioned, for the purpose of safety. But then again, it's actually a good idea for us to experiment with what tools and features that are available out there. Thank you so much. Wonderful advice. Any other more comments, suggestions? I'm learning a lot from you. We can always come back to it, but we talked about this last year. Why should we use AI as educators? I think one of the major reasons is efficiency. So, well, to put it this way, I usually see it in two sort of ways. There are two big reasons that I use AI. Efficiency to save time. So that allows me to do things using my time to do more valuable things that AI may not be as good at. I will see what AI is better than myself. It's good at pattern recognition. It doesn't have to rest, so I can delegate tasks. You may be using agents in some cases, so delegating some of the work to AI to help me with those. That allows me to focus on the high level tasks, how to manage different AI usage, check AI's output, orchestrate their work. So efficiency is a very big factor, productivity, but also see the opportunities that allows me to actually leverage, to harness the use of AI. So I may not have the skills to create videos, I may not have the technical knowledge to code, but now with AI, even I don't have that technical background, I can actually do things that I couldn't do. So it's not only about efficiency, it's also about augmenting the kind of things that I can actually do. So when it comes to having conversations with colleagues, I usually try to summarize the reasons why we should use AI into these two main ways. So how can you select tasks which you believe AI can help you to become more efficient, saving you time? And also, are there ways or things that you want to do, but you don't have the ability to, but AI can help you with those? So you might have heard of the practice of vibe coding. So some colleagues are building small applications, even though they may not have the technical know-how to do so, for their practices, for their teaching. So that could also be the case. So the fact that you've mentioned about local LM, so it generates a podcast based on content that you provide. You may be using it to generate videos, to create stories. So all these things may not necessarily be things that we are able to do, but with AI, we can create these output to enhance our practices. Any other sharing about this part? Are you using AI to help you to become more efficient, productive, or leveraging opportunities where you can actually create things you couldn't do without AI? Any ideas? I'm using it to create applications. I'm using it to save time. I've used it to create a video. I don't remember how to use Adobe Premiere anymore, so I need to use AI to help me with that. I think some colleagues mentioned about using it to engage students. Anybody uses this particular use case, student engagement, with the use of AI? So apart from Abel, who's using AI in assessment, asking students to actually incorporate AI usage into the learning, any other colleagues have similar experiences?
Hello again, Professor.
Hi.
Hi. Yes, I used it. I used Wayground and Menti to check understanding in the class.
Oh, using you mean use Mentimeter?
Mentimeter, yes.
Oh, okay. Do you use Mentimeter's AI feature?
No, I just I used it to measure their understanding and make the classroom interactive. And but I used Wayground since I used to know Wayground. I used it more than Mentimeter because it contains a lot of features which allow me to use different settings. So it's not the same exam every time.
That's excellent. Well, I mean, the use of learning technology, I mean, that's great. You're using it quite a lot. Does everybody know that we've got subscription to Mentimeter, the presentation tool? No, not really. I'm going to share that with you later. But so we're using Copilot as the university's approved general purpose AI tool. By the name general purpose, you can use it for many things: ask questions, summarize things, create outline, generate videos, etc., etc., etc. But there are also tools that are not really general purpose, but they are also AI powered. So you may know that from Laura's team, we provide Studiosity Plus. So students have access to that tool to check their writing. That's also powered by AI. We also have a tool that's called Mentimeter. So we also have subscription for it. So you can go into Mentimeter. That takes you to a page where you can actually, I'm just going to type in the tool's name, to Mentimeter. And you'll be able to log in using your single sign-on university credential. It's a presentation tool. So as Nabil mentioned, you can actually use it to present, but it also allows you to generate polls, create quizzes, so you can ask students what they think about your lecture. You can do some concept checking using Mentimeter. So essentially it increases student engagement. So that is a learning technology tool. But within the context of AI usage, it also has AI-enabled features. So even though it's not a general purpose AI tool that does everything, it also has AI-powered presentation features. So if you do like open-ended question, you ask your class a question using Mentimeter, they might come back to you with loads of different kinds of answers. And imagine if you're teaching over 100 students, then it's quite impossible for you to digest everything that's been said, and it's quite hard for you to respond accordingly. But with Mentimeter, it also has this AI feature to group the comments thematically. So you might have, I don't know, 100 students, 70 of them provide you with some comments as to what they think about the assignment, for instance. Some find it hard, some find it interesting, some need more support, some they don't know the deadline, etc., etc., etc. And then that tool, that feature would thematically group the comments. So you can see some of them like challenges, maybe assessment, clarification, deadline, support. So you'd be able to go into the themes and hence be able to address them more in a more manageable manner instead of going through the answers individually in one class. So that's an AI feature of Mentimeter. You don't teach in the program, but management perspective, you ChatGPT. Thank you for summarizing that. Those are very good use cases. And also Mentimeter, you'll be able to use their AI builder. So I think some colleague mentioned about generating PowerPoints. I think I remember using Gemini. I do that as well. So because Gemini is part of Google's suite of tools, so that takes you to, it's able to generate slides within Google's applications. In the case of Copilot, I think you also be able to do that for PowerPoints as well. And Mentimeter, given that it's a presentation tool, you can ask Mentimeter to generate presentations for you. Basically, you enter test prompts into Mentimeter, it's going to generate a set of slides for you. Nerman?
Gamma is also awesome for creating slides.
Oh, so you're using other tools as well. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, there are many other tools for doing different things. I think I've missed somebody. Is it Sandy? Or have I missed Nabil?
Yes, this is me now.
Oh,
Nabil?
okay.
Yes, okay. I think I already used both of them, the Wayground and the Mentimeter, but Mentimeter is brilliant in including the presentation inside the same everything inside the gathering the perspective of the students. If you make anything you need inside the presentation, Mentimeter is brilliant in this case. But Wayground I used is brilliant in other thing, which is quizzes itself, because it makes make it as funny for students, and also it have a leaderboard at the end of the quiz with the top three of them, which make the environment is very funny for the students, and they love it a lot. This is my experience in this tool, possibly, yes.
Excellent. I mean, it's always good that you find the right tool for your practice. Yeah, I mean, at the university we've got Mentimeter, but we also understand that there are also features that are not available within the tools that we provide. So it's great that you're experimenting with other features that students like them. So thanks so much for sharing that. And Sandy? Are you on mute still, or is it me?
I can't hear either.
No? Do you want to try typing if the microphone
Yeah,
doesn't
Sandy,
work?
your sound might need turning up or something. I think you are unmuted, it's just not working.
You can type, or you can, yeah, I think you're unmuted already. For some reason, maybe it's the microphone. But no worries, if you can type your comments, that would be oh.
Yeah, is this okay?
Yeah, it's working now. Brilliant.
Okay, so my headset is not working probably. Okay,
No
so
worries.
I don't know if this counts or not, but as a part of my course assignment, I introduced InVideo AI and Canva AI video generator for students themselves to create engaging video presentations instead of the typical PowerPoint presentation. So they use them to like explain those complex biological cell signaling processes and turning those really difficult scientific concepts for themselves and for their mates. And I found this to be really engaging for other students as well. So yeah.
Excellent. I mean,
that was
yeah, I
interesting.
use that as well. Thank you for sharing that. I think at Greenwich, we also try to advocate if we can, because we know that when it comes to assessment design, there's the big challenge of academic integrity. So you rightly point out that perhaps we can also bring in or diversify the kind of assessment that we ask students to undertake instead of just essays, maybe presentations, maybe generating videos, using their own ideas, but helping them to visualize those with the use of AI tools. So indeed, definitely. I would just like to mention that because when many colleagues talk about the other tools that they use, which I personally try as well, we should also think about whether all students will have access to some of the tools that we select, because some of them you've got to pay for them. And indeed, some of them, given that if they're free tools, there's also a consideration or concerns whether the data being collected by the other AI providers, is it safe to do so? And that's why we try to provide Copilots basically the baseline, the safe tool. Mentimeter is also safe. So if you're using other tools, of course, students, we can't really control what tools they use. But if it's officially part of the assessment, we might be asking them to generate videos, and they can certainly choose the tools of their choice. But when it comes to designing the assessment, it's also quite important to make sure that it's fair across the board, because some students may have access to the more premium tools that they pay for, others may not. And if they are disadvantaged, then that could be a challenge. But we have Copilot, we do have multimodal capabilities. So maybe at the very least, students can use that. So if you're suggesting them, they can create videos. If they've got Canva, brilliant. If they don't, I mean, at least they've got the enterprise version of Copilot by logging into Copilot using their university credential. Very, very interesting and useful points. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you have been using Gen AI tools to I don't know, update your curricula, improve your teaching. At Greenwich, we're going through this curriculum shape project. So we're enhancing curricula across the institution. And I understand that it takes time, effort, and many colleagues are also finding it useful to use AI to enhance their curriculum. So I know that as part of teaching partners, you may not be responsible for changing curricula, but of course you're very important in delivering the teaching content. So you might have noticed that there could be some changes to curricula, and also maybe some colleagues trying to increase the use of AI into the teaching process, the assessment design. So maybe, I don't know whether you've experienced that in your modules or programs, but that's what we're doing at Greenwich at the moment. Just for your information, at Greenwich, we're also piloting tools beyond Copilot. So we have tried to use tools for feedback and assessment that's AI powered, because we know that colleagues are very busy. So marking and providing feedback takes a lot of time. I'm sure that some colleagues can see from your cameras, you're nodding. So you may be using AI for the very purpose of making marking assessment a bit easier. It's a very sort of delicate topic, because some students, we've been told they don't like the idea that academics use AI to mark their papers. But then again, we always ensure that when it comes to providing marking feedback, nothing is automated. Academics may be using AI to actually see how to provide better feedback, clearer feedback that can be more easily understood by students. But then again, because it is the knowledge and expertise of colleagues. I mean, we design the assessment, we design the rubrics. If we were to use AI, we provide that to AI. And when it comes to the feedback drafts that we may actually get AI to help us with, they're only drafts. The final versions will always have to be reviewed, seen by colleagues before they actually share with students. So we have experimented with doing this. I can see Alex mentioned about using Copilot. I'm sorry about the echo. I don't know if it's the same issue for anybody in the room, but I hope the recording is working fine. So, or perhaps Alex, we'll be doing that again next Thursday. So I hope if this stays an issue in this session, I hope next Thursday will work better for you. But I can see that you've got a question about using Copilot, learn how to raise precise questions to AI. I think that's a very common comment. So Alex in the chat talks about, if I'm understanding this correctly, how to prompt AI better to get better output. So there is this practice of prompt engineering, how we can actually improve how we prompt AI. So asking better questions, providing better instructions to get better answers. So that's a very, very good question. We'll be going through that, but in a nutshell, it's always good. I've mentioned about context. So if you don't provide enough information for AI to understand what you want, it starts guessing and it provides you with irrelevant information. It may even hallucinate. So if you've got clear information, maybe it's your assessment brief, you want to see how to teach that or scaffold that assessment. If you provide that to Copilot, it's able to understand you're talking specifically about this assessment, not any general assessment, not any general advice on how to scaffold students. It's able to provide better, more precise responses. So the idea of providing more context, basically, they say context is king. That's precisely the idea. So I hope that briefly answers your question. So at Greenwich, we have been using various kinds of pilots to see what colleagues think. So I think the idea is that it's welcome. And also, if you're also happy to use Copilot to help you with enhancing your assessment and feedback, that will be useful, as long as ultimately, we're not automating marking or feedback. Giving more detailed prompt to give AI tool you can also give them examples. You can give AI the role that you're playing. So you can tell them that you are a university educator. So it's able to understand, okay, from the standpoint of a university educator, how do I provide feedback? So providing context, providing the role you're playing, giving examples, those are all very good practices. So thank you for colleagues for sharing those. So we're using Copilot. We're also trying to see what other tools that we can try at Greenwich. You mentioned Google. It's something that we're exploring as well. So maybe that becomes available if we're able to get that approved. But so far, once again, we've got Copilot. I think we've mentioned that last time, so I'm not going to go into details. I think colleagues already mentioned that many students use AI. So these are the things that I shared last year. I don't know whether these things resonate. So we ran a survey 3 years ago asking students what they think about using AI for their learning. So these are the top reasons that they like to use AI. I don't know whether your students have similar thoughts or any other use cases that they use AI for. Any thoughts about this? Personalizing learning, creating interactive learning experiences. Do your students ask AI for feedback on their draft? I don't know whether you know about that. Any comments here? I think some colleagues mentioned about storifying content. So you're doing that for your students, I presume. But I don't know whether your students, from what you've learned, are they using AI to transform your lecture notes in order to help them learn better? I can see some comments in the chat. Proofreading, okay, you do that for yourself. Yeah, I mean, Yanku, you're asking about from academic perspective. Honestly, Copilot is the safe tool to use. It may not be the best in every aspect. So it doesn't have the notable LM audio overview feature. It's got something similar, but I wouldn't say that it's as good. If you're teaching computer science, you may be using tools or personally like Codex or Claude Code for coding purposes. When it comes to Copilot, I wouldn't say it's the top cutting edge tool here. But then again, the idea of providing Copilot is that it's a baseline. So it's an enterprise grade tool. It's safe. So everybody will have access to it. So that is what we do at Greenwich. So using Copilot. But when it comes to what tool to be the best, it depends on your basically your context, your use case. For some disciplines, you may be teaching design, you may be teaching programming. Then of course you've got some tools that are designed to do such tasks. Then maybe Copilot will not be as good. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Copilot being the baseline that's accessible for everybody. But what tool is the best? That really depends. Yep, saving time specifically. I think quite a lot of students, because we work in the library, Laura and I, students are using AI tools. I know that. I mean, I've spoken with them. They use it to summarize lecture notes, help them with literature review, finding literature, personalizing learning. I think that's a very important thing for especially neurodiverse students. I mean, maybe the content, the way that we present materials, that is quite useful for most of the students. But for some students, they might find using AI to transform content in a way that they prefer, maybe simplifying things, simplifying the language be very useful. I mean, you're all wonderful colleagues from around the world. So we do have a very highly internationalized cohort of students. Then many of them, I understand, they might be transferring or translating content to their own first language. So many ways that students are using AI for, and indeed, in some modules, you try to ask, can we embed AI literacy into the learning process so they can actually make use of AI for the learning? Yep, if you've got any ideas here, please let me know. So I've shared that last time. These are general things that students tend to use AI for, maybe creating study notes, maybe translating English to other languages, maybe using it for coding or understanding code, maybe creating interview questions, TLDR summarization. So these are the very, very standard, common, basic use cases that students or us can use AI for. And I think I've gone through these points already. So like ourselves, students will find efficiency to be valuable for them. And developing their academic skills. I don't know whether your students are using AI to help them with the written English. Any ideas here? Are they using AI for skills development? I think at Greenwich, in Laura's team, our colleagues, I mean, we ask students, I mean, we do promote the use of AI when it comes to learning and developing their skills. The fact that we're using Studiosity Plus, I mean, how to improve their draft, their writing. So AI is very good. Not that human colleagues are not good, it's just that we're not always available, and students, they value the fact that they can get immediate help, and AI is very good at providing that. And also critical thinking. So some students may find it useful. Even myself, I've got something drafted. I ask AI to critique it for me. What have I missed? Any gaps in this particular assessment that I've completed? Have I missed any points? Any other literature that I should try to dig a bit more? So AI might be able to help you with that as well. So it's more like a collaborative work with AI. And I think I've mentioned that as well. It's quite important that they have experience using AI so that when they actually go into the workplace, they've got a higher AI readiness when they graduate. And I think also colleagues always ask me, how is AI being used in the workplace? I think the answers keeps changing. I mean, 2 years ago, we've got what? AI, multimodality. I think this year everybody's talking about the use of agents. So the landscape is changing, but I think general ideas is that there's a lot of investment into AI by companies, and an increasing amount of work will involve the use of AI. I think that's basically the trend now. And if you're interested in some of the data, the predictions, what industry, the extent of impact, I've done a little talk 2 years earlier. So if you're interested, I've inserted the link here, and you may take a look if you want to. But I think in summary, it's impacting all industries, especially the ones that are graduates going into like financial services, consulting, etc. So they really need to have AI literacy as part of their learning at university. Any questions so far? Yusuf?
Yes, I had a question, and it was a point of debate with the professors at our university, at MSA University. We were talking about how far should students use AI in the learning and the assessments and so forth, because we were afraid at reaching some point where it's just AI evaluating AI. So that boosted more of the actual oral discussions of the assessments, not just the assessments being marked and just evaluated, but actually we sit with the student to evaluate how far they learned, how much of the actual end product did they contribute. So I was actually curious how at Greenwich University they you do about that, you know.
Thank you very much for asking that. I'm very glad to ask this question. It's quite a challenging thing to do. Basically, it actually fits quite well with the question how to adapt. There's a concern that students, of course, they might be using AI just to generate the assessment for them, and that's a big issue for one. But also whether they're over relying on the use of AI and they don't really learn at all. Basically, AI does everything for them. Even though there's a balance to strike, like we want them to have the ability to use AI, but if I'm understanding your point, it's also a risk that if they use too much AI and that replaces actual student learning, and that is defeating the purpose. Is that what you're trying to get to? Is that your point?
Yes, exactly. Like, how much did they learn in doing this assessment?
I suppose for us, I mean, I can't really generalize for all disciplines because different disciplines, they have different ways that they could use AI for. So, for instance, for computer science, it's quite essential, imperative that they really have to have AI as part of their workflows, right? I mean, if they're using that to code in the IDE, how can you not use AI? In other disciplines, maybe it's quite different. Maybe in nursing, there's more human interaction. Then maybe the use of AI is quite different in those cases. But I would say that when it comes to assessment design, we try to change things from output-based to more process-based. So in the past, maybe we just asked them to generate an essay. They could do that themselves. They could get help that we don't know of, that we're plagiarizing. But then again, we're only seeing basically a snapshot of the output from students at the very end, the summative. I think now we're trying to change the more process-based approach where they can actually, we ask students along the way to demonstrate the learning. So maybe there could be some formative activities where they can present ideas. And as part of that presentation, that way we can authenticate students are involved in the process, they're demonstrating the learning, they can record the knowledge, they can demonstrate critical thinking when we ask questions during the presentation. And then we expect those feedback and comments provided by the peers, by you as the teacher, we expect that to be reflected into the summative as well. So we want the process to be demonstrated, the process of learning. In some cases, we ask students to reflect maybe weekly, maybe on a, I don't know, bi-weekly basis, reflect on their learning, or maybe even reflect on the use of AI, and expect them to critique, maybe, critique how they've used AI. So you've been using AI in your formative assessment. What were the limitations of the AI output? How could you overcome those? And how would you incorporate those learning into your final assessment summative? So that way, we know that they're using AI, but we want to be sure that they're using AI productively in a more critical manner. Do you think that kind of answers your question in any ways?
Yes, exactly. That was the conclusion we came up with in the end. That it has to end up with some kind of oral discussion with the student itself. The whole process can't be fully automated. They do the assignment with AI, and we use AI for marking and leaving comments. So there had to be some point where we had to ask them what they did with AI, how did they do it, what did they learn, to explain actually the goals of the assessments, and they understand the goal of the assessment well, not just how it was done. And yeah, I agree with what you said. Of course, that's the same conclusion we reached.
Exactly. I mean, thank you for mentioning that. I suppose one easy something that we ask colleagues to do is that always try to test the AI resilience of your assessment. So you've got the assessment, if you can enter it into ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, whatever, and then it's able to generate the essay that will satisfy all the learning outcomes and everything that's required of them in the rubric, then that is a very risky assessment to ask students to perform. Basically, it's so easy to cheat using AI. So we ask colleagues to think about that, test it. If you were to use AI to accomplish this assessment, it's achievable with a few prompts. So if it is, then they will have to make changes. In fact, at Greenwich, I'm very glad that you mentioned this, because we have introduced an AI risk scale. So we ask colleagues to revisit their assessment how risky it is as an assessment that AI can perform it. So we've got some ideas to guide colleagues. So in some cases, if it's about a topic that's very well known, then AI has got plenty of knowledge. Then if you ask students to write an essay about it, then it's not likely to be AI resilient. Whereas if you ask them to do something to reflect, to demonstrate the process of learning, and to use rather unique case studies, then that will be better, much better. So I hope also that helps as well. Using AI has become inevitable. Exactly. So thank you for mentioning that as well. I think
Jimmy,
I might want to. Yeah.
sorry, do you mind if I just jump in very quickly?
Oh, please.
So just to say, we are running a session on Thursday about academic integrity and Gen AI, because obviously that is a real concern for all of us in education. So we will be discussing there kind of more specifically the parameters of what students are allowed to use it for, what we would give as guidance at Greenwich in terms of how they should do that, and how to have those conversations, because like Nabil has said, they are using it anyway, right? So we need to start having those open conversations with them. So I've put a link in the chat if anyone wants to join the session on Thursday.
Thank you so much, Laura. That's very helpful. I think I might want to speed up a bit and we can go to some of the demos. But before I do that, I just want to quickly recap the general things that I usually share with colleagues as to how I adapt to AI in academia. So basically try to see how we can use AI to support us, not to substitute. So we might be using AI to help us with our work, but as always, we need to have the expertise to be sure that the work output is legitimate, is accurate, because AI hallucinates. So not allowing AI to replace us, find ways to augment our work. So if there are things that can be easily done by AI, like, I don't know, creating quizzes, multiple choice questions, I will ask myself, is it the best use of my time? If not, then let AI does this work. I find something more valuable to do. So again, having AI to support us, not substitute, not fight with AI in areas that AI is better than us. Try to iterate the process when it comes to using AI. I'm sure that many colleagues here are very proficient already, but some colleagues find it quite useless, basically, AI. I mean, the output is very generic, not very useful, not accurate. So you have to, just like working with a human being, provide clarity. I mean, you may not exactly know all the details of the work that you're looking for. You have a goal, but you want to work with AI along the way, provide more clarity. So every time AI gives you back the output, you have to refine it, you have to give more context, you have to sort of guide it along. So don't expect AI to be perfect with the first shot, essentially. Use prompting well. So I've briefly mentioned about prompt engineering. I'm sure that you're doing that already, many colleagues. So basically, we have to ask a question or instruction to AI to get it to work for you. But it works better if you provide context. So you can say that I'm teaching in MSA, for instance. My role is an educator. I'm giving you examples of exemplars so that you know what kind of output I'm looking for, and then specify the output. You will have to write in a certain format, use APA, use British English, within 300 words, in a tone that's academic, professional, and balanced, something like that. So the more that you can specify in the prompt, the better it gets. So I think that in a nutshell is what we do when it comes to prompt engineering. So use prompt engineering well is very useful. Encourage students to use AI. If you're updating your curricula, enhancing the resilience of your assessment, then indeed maybe asking AI to provide ideas to brainstorm would be very useful. Enhancing assessment using AI. I think that's basically the things that I've mentioned already in the first hour, but we do have an AI guidance at Greenwich, and I can see that many colleagues practice, experiment a lot with different kinds of AI tools, so that's great. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell what I tend to share with colleagues when it comes to adapting to AI. I'm going to go into some demos, but before I do that, any questions thus far? No? Like I said, these are general use cases, demos. I'm sure that you can do similar things or even better things with other AI tools of your choice. We're using Copilot, so I'm going to show the demos here with Copilot. So if you don't know, this article talks about Copilot being University of Greenwich's approved AI tool. So for you and for your students, you can simply go to Google and Copilot Greenwich approved AI tool. I hope you can see the demo now on the fly. But basically, that shows you the link where you'll be able to log into Copilot using your university credential. I hope you can see the video. All right, that's it. Okay, so if your students don't know, I will advise you to let them know as well. So like I said, some of them have access to premium tools, some of them may not. So we want to be sure that everybody can have access to AI that's enterprise grade, that is safe. So hence, please advise them to use Copilot. Once you've logged in, you'll be able to see your profile picture. So I strongly advise not to use the free version because that's much more limited and there's no guarantee of safety when it comes to content being uploaded. Some students are using AI to complete assignments. I think you're right when it comes to assessment guidelines as well. So yeah, we do have the AI policy, the AI guidance talking about AI shouldn't be doing the work for you. And also we're updating that, as Laura mentions, just to provide more clarity. But we also rely on colleagues when it comes to, or maybe the module program teams that you're working with at Greenwich. We're trying to help them to redesign assessment. The things that I've mentioned when Yusuf talked about how to deal with the challenge of students overusing AI or having AI sort of replacing their work. So making assessment more AI resilient. That is something that we do. Process-based learning, maybe diversifying the assessment design rather than using essay only, maybe doing some presentation, maybe doing portfolio, maybe doing reflective pieces, etc. So that's Copilot. So within Copilot, once you've logged in, because it's enterprise level, it's got some premium features, and one of which is called Teach use case, because we're using the education license. So for instance, you've got a module that you're teaching, so a module that used to teach digital leadership. So that's the module handbook. This file should become a contextual document. If you're working something around this particular module, then you might be designing your, I don't know, your lesson plan. You may be planning activities for your students. Then it'll be very useful for you to log into Copilot because it's safe. You can upload documents. So go to the Teach feature on the left sidebar. There are many things that you can create that will be related to teaching. So for instance, planning curriculum, creating rubrics, flashcards, etc. I usually do lesson plan. So if I'm teaching this module and I have to plan for my first lecture, you can go to Teach, create lesson plan, enter the subject, so introductory lecture, select the grade level, select the language, and then here you'll be able to upload the module handbook. And with that, you can provide the prompt, specify what you want it to do. So the instruction is create a lesson plan of this introductory lecture. Because I've given the module handbook, it knows that at university level, it knows my role, it knows the content that I'm teaching. It's able to convert the module handbook into an introductory lecture lesson plan. So you can see that it's got everything created for me. As always, please do double check the output of AI. I would say in my experience, it's never perfect. So in here, you can edit the session. So it goes, talks about the objectives. It also has suggestions underneath each of the boxes when you interact with Copilot. Quite similar if you're using ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, they always give you they always speculate what you want the next step. So similarly in Copilot, they do that as well. So when you go into various sections, you'll be able to see some suggestions underneath. Do you want to create this? Do you need to incorporate that? You can move things around within this lesson planning feature. You can change tone. from being instructional to be more inclusive, interactive. And then just keep making changes. And once you're ready, you can also add sessions, delete sessions, and regenerate the lesson plan. And it overrides the initial output. I never really use the first output. I'll always think that the initial one is never perfect and make changes. So that goes back to the point that we talked about earlier. It's an iterative process working with AI. So here you'll be able to see that the revised version of your lesson plan, review it. And once you're happy, then I usually create a Word version of AI output so that I can actually make changes offline, or I can actually save it to OneDrive. So you can see that, save the OneDrive, you can open it as a Word document in OneDrive. And the journey of working with Copilot doesn't end here. You can also continue. There's a button on the right-hand side at the top where you can go to Copilot again. You can carry on this conversation. So say, for instance, I've got this lesson plan for my students, the first lecture, but I do want to include something about the assessment, because that's, let's face it, students want to know what the assessment is about at the very beginning. So I'm going to upload my assessment brief here as well. So I've done that for the module handbook, creating the lesson plan, but now I want to enhance my lesson plan by including some assessment related explanation. So I will upload my assessment brief into this Copilot space here, and then it generates some suggestions for me. It's also got some like inline references. So it suggests, okay, I'm suggesting something to you, and it comes from a certain source. So it shows me that it's coming from the content of the assessment brief file. So you know that it's not hallucinating, making things up. It's all grounded in the document that you've provided. So you can see that it's asking me whether I want to incorporate that, and I do. Then I can simply download the version revised by Copilot. You don't have to use the teach feature. You can also use the general chat feature. So say, for instance, I've got the lesson plan I've created using the teach feature. I can also bring that into the general chat area. As I've mentioned, I can upload files here. It's already on my OneDrive. So in this case, I can simply click the OneDrive files being saved, add it as part of the context, and then very simple prompt here, I'm including the assessment details into the lesson plan. So it knows that I've got 2 assessments, and then it's going to generate a separate page for me. So that's a Microsoft feature. If you're using Gemini, you may know that there's a feature called Canvas. If you're using Claude, they've got this feature called Artifact, so a separate page where it's more contained that you can revise your work. So there's a page feature in Copilot. The benefit is that you can share this with other colleagues, so they can make changes to it as well. And then, yeah, it's like a live document that you can use. So if you've got a teaching team, you want to see how everybody can contribute to the ideas. No worries, thank you for coming. Then maybe using this, it could be very useful. For us at Greenwich, we've got this assessment and feedback policy that applies to all assessment. So in the case of assessment design or checking whether we align to this document, it's a good practice that I can upload this policy document to Copilot and check whether the assessment is designed in accordance with the university policy. So here I'm uploading the assessment feedback policy document. I'm still within the session where I am planning my lesson, specifically trying to explain or to check whether the assessment design is adequate. I'm uploading my assessment feedback policy to check whether it's aligned. So it checks that, okay, it's got the reflective assessment, that's good. It's aligned, and explains why it's aligned as well. It includes scaffolding. We have to include scaffolding. We have to provide feedback, etc., etc. Academic integrity. There's some issues or areas of improvement. So based on those suggestions, I can make revision to how I plan to explain the assessment to my students. And also here it says that I have to include an AI declaration for my students so they know what to include as they finish their work if they use AI. So here I'll be able to add some details here, maybe providing some examples, how they can declare the use of AI. And that generates it for me. So I hope you can see that, like at the beginning, I've got the module handbook, I've got nothing. I've got to teach next week. Now I've got my lesson plan. I've got ways to explain my assessment. I double check whether the assessment is aligned with the policy. And then I can also create a version whereby I can share with colleagues on the teaching team to get the feedback or to share the wonderful ideas that I've created using Copilot. So all in all, that's basically in a very short 8 minutes showing you what the general things you can do with the teach feature of Copilot. Any questions about that, or are you using those features already in Copilot? I don't know whether we've got those features in, even though Gemini and Claude and other like ChatGPT, they're also very good. But unless you've got the education license, I'm not sure whether you've got these things that would help you for educational purposes. Any questions about the teach features?
I didn't realize that existed, Jimmy. So that is fascinating for me, and also was going to save me loads of time. So that's great. Thanks.
Well, thank you for letting me know. Yeah. There are also other features there, so please do explore further. Now, you might be using it for other purposes. I mean, you're all teachers, but also we've got other work involved. So it's also a good idea to think about areas of enhancing productivity. So for me, I'm just going to share something that I've been doing. So I'm working with colleagues, testing some feature within Copilot. So I won't bore you with the details, but essentially there are some technical details about a tool in Copilot that's called Agent, how we can design a chatbot using Copilot. I've done some analysis. I'm providing some updates. I thought it'd be a good idea that I share the ideas with colleagues. There's so much that I've been talking about in the email chain, which I'm sure that is similar to some of your work. Many emails, long email chains, lots of content, loads of attachments. So you can actually, within Outlook of Microsoft Outlook, you can actually summarize your email. It's actually part of Copilot's capability. So it summarizes it for you. If you click the summarize button, Copilot will summarize the email for you. You can also hover over attachments in your email, ask for a summary. It does that as well. So in your case, you may be working with your teaching team. You've got many things being shared. You want to stay up to date as to what's going on, the latest ideas, documents shared. That hopefully will accelerate how fast you can work. So in here, I've got this summarized. And I don't always end there. Like I thought that, okay, I've got this work being done with colleagues. At Greenwich, we've got this teaching and learning conference that's called Shift. And I thought that it could be a good idea that we share our ideas, our work in the conference. So you might be doing that in your institutions. You've got various conferences, ways for you to disseminate your work. Then here, I'm going to write an email based on the email, based on the background of this work. And then I would like to ask Copilot to draft a proposal or email the colleague saying that I want to present this idea in the teaching conference. And then you are also able to insert the link of the conference that's publicly accessible, add that into Copilot. So it's able to draw on that, knowing the expectation, the themes of the conference. It also draws on the content, the work that you're doing. Oh, I was paused. Are you able to, is it frozen? Oh, you're here. I suddenly it's paused here. I'm just going to skip through this one. For some reason, it's paused. Sorry. So here, yeah. So essentially, it drafts the email for me saying that this is something that we can do. And then within the ideas of the conference, it also suggests that, do you want to draft a proposal outline here? So you can carry on with this interaction, and then it's able to draft something for me. Always review AI's output. Now, you might be asking, why not ask AI to simply prepare the whole conference presentation proposal for me? I would prefer using it in a more stepwise manner, because every step of the way, I'm able to check the output, check the summary, check the email that I draft for my colleague, check the outline. Everything's good, then I proceed further. Because if you jump all these steps, there could be many issues, many ways in which AI has been hallucinating, and the final output wouldn't be as good. So I prefer doing it step by step, so I can be sure that every output in the next phase will be based on legitimate, accurate information. So here, I also wanted to include some of the context. So I've been doing something about how do we run experimentations using technology. So I've got a document that contains that. I can also upload that to this conversation in Copilot. So it knows that I'm drafting a proposal, but I'm also bringing in additional information that's able to incorporate. So I hope you can see how simply working from Outlook, your email, you can summarize ideas, you can follow up with drafting emails, you can actually think about the work that you can work with your colleagues, and then create, I don't know, a teaching plan. You can create proposals for your research. If you're going to present in a conference based on some of the work that you've been talking about with colleagues via email, you can actually carry on this particular workflow here. So here I've got this conference drafter. I'm just going to skip. Once again, you can export the content to Word, because you might lose all that if you don't save it properly, all the conversations. So once you've got a decent conversation, you want to capture that, I usually export that to Word, and you can still continue your Copilot interaction within the Word environment. So I hope that that's clear. It's quite similar to what we did earlier with the teach use cases. Once you're quite ready, I suggest you export that to Word. That's going to save it on your OneDrive. You can also save it onto your device, and that way you can always go back to it. And I'm also using that to create presentation, because here I'm doing it as a conference presentation. I've got the draft ready. Why not take it one step further and create a presentation for me? So I'm going to ask Copilot to generate basically ideas of the conference presentation. And if you remember, we talked about a tool that's called Mentimeter, so that some colleagues are using already. So I remember someone asking me which tool is best for teaching purposes. I said that it depends on what subject you teach, what task you're doing, but also some tools are better than others as specific things. So Copilot is quite general. Mentimeter, on the other hand, is basically a presentation, interactive engagement tool. So that's what it's for. So I will use Mentimeter for presentation-related use cases. So I've got the ideas from Copilot. I've copied the text. I will log into Mentimeter. So that's where you can find Mentimeter, the page. You can simply Google Mentimeter Greenwich. There's a link there that will take you, again, using your university login details, that takes you to the subscribed version of Mentimeter. So I'm just logging in using my credentials. You'll be able to see that there's a new Mentimeter and also start with AI button. That's what they call an AI builder in Mentimeter. So I'll be able to upload documents or also insert text. So I've got the text copy from Copilot about the presentation that I would like to run at Shift. So I'm going to just paste that in Mentimeter, and then it's going to ask me about what I want based on this prompt, and I clarify that I wanted to include open-ended questions in the presentation slides, and it's going to follow my instruction. Text is much faster, but here we've got text to slides with images, then it takes a bit longer, but shouldn't be too long. So here it's able to generate a set of slides for presenting at Shift. So that saves time. I may not have thought of some of the ideas, like questions or open-ended questions that is being shown here, and that's very useful. And you can carry on chatting with it. So I want more details about the AI chatbot that I've built. And I'm also able to add files so it knows what this chatbot is about. So I hope you can see that you can use Mentimeter AI to create slides for you. If I may also accelerate a little bit, so I'm just refining my slides. While you're at, your browser using Mentimeter now, you may want to ask general questions about how to work on something. If you're using Edge, on the right-hand side at the top, you also have a Copilot chat button. So whatever you're doing, whatever tool software you're doing, if you want to ask some general questions, you can also go back to the Copilot chat in your browser, Edge browser. So here, I don't know about the question, the kind of questions that I can use in Mentimeter, and I can ask Copilot for some general ideas in the browser. So I want to improve my presentation. I didn't know the kind of questions that I can include. I just realized that asking Copilot, I can also create a gamified experience, a competition for the participants to answer the questions that I'm going to ask them. So I can tell Mentimeter now, please do also include a competition, a leaderboard design into the slides. So it's going to do that for me. So if you are using Copilot to help you with your lesson planning, and you want to create presentation slides for your teaching, you can copy the text from Copilot to get the ideas, paste to Mentimeter to create the slides for you. And you may want to get more ideas as to how you can improve your Mentimeter design. Go back to Copilot, maybe even Copilot chat within your browser, and then decide on the best ways to improve your presentation and ask Mentimeter's AI builder here to revise your presentation accordingly. So I hope that shows you how you can use multiple tools for your teaching practices. Any questions about that so far? Any comments, questions, or you're doing that already, that I've missed something that is Mint is inside. Yeah, are you suggesting Mint, you mean Mentimeter? Is it within, it's a different tool, if I'm understanding you correctly. So Mentimeter, separate tool, bespoke for presentation related tasks. Copilot, general purpose. So many colleagues are using other general purpose tool, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, whatever. You can do many things with the general purpose tool. So Copilot here, I can have a general chat with it. I can ask questions. I can create videos. I can create lesson plans, etc. So yeah, but it hasn't got the Mentimeter AI feature. So that's why I've moved to Mentimeter to create the slides for me. And some colleagues mentioned about using Gemini to create presentation slides. It's brilliant, but I don't think they've got the interactive features, like you can run some quizzes and polls, etc. So Mentimeter is better for those usages. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, and you might want to create images for your teaching PowerPoints, infographics even. So I'm going to stick with the example here about the conference. But then again, you can simply adapt this for your teaching practices. So I've created a sway page that's also part of the Microsoft Productivity Suite. So essentially, it's a non-code tool that you can create a web page very easily. So it's something that we do actually. when it comes to asking students to show the process of their learning beyond simply text-based questions. Maybe ask them to create a web page, a portfolio of their work. So that is one of the ways to adapt to AI as well. Oh, hello. So I've got this page, a web page.
Jimmy, sorry,
Okay.
I'm just gonna
Yep.
jump in to say we have half an hour left. Thanks.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. So I can download the web page or the Sway page, and I want to create an infographic of the conference idea. So the Sway page is about the conference. I downloaded it and I pasted or uploaded to the create infographic feature in Copilot. And then it's going to go and create an infographic for me. So I suppose if you want to create some infographics, maybe include those into your Moodle, into your PowerPoint slides to help students see or visualize the content, you may upload your documents, maybe your, I don't know, your text documents, your PPT documents, and then ask AI to generate infographics for you. I mean, it could be something that's useful. Maybe it could be your helping you to explain the assessment to students, how they should go about undertaking the assessment. Then you can upload the assessment brief and all the relevant information, maybe the rubrics, etc. And then you explain to them, I mean, use infographic to explain to them the timeline, the expectations, what they should include, when they should submit. If you provide opportunities for them to submit a draft for you to get, for you to provide feedback on, then maybe using this feature will help them see.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Which tool you are using to create the infograph?
Go to Copilot. And
Which
then
tool you are explaining the infograph? You are using a tool, AI tool to do the infograph. Which tool you are using?
Yeah, Copilot.
And video as well, it can be working to create videos with Copilot as well, or which one is better?
You can also create video. I mean, at the beginning, I show you a video. I use Copilot for that.
Really, this is why you created it by using slides and then he animated?
Yeah. That's precisely what I did.
Thank
So
you.
this
Thank you so much.
This no
Very
problem.
helpful.
This is Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, because you've got University of Greenwich credentials. You can log into it, and then you will be able to see that on the left-hand side, there's a create. So a create button. You click that, then you'll be able to select the kind of things you want to create. Those things are multimodal, meaning that it doesn't have to be text only. Here I'm creating infographic. Yeah, but thank you for asking. And then you've got the choice of downloading it as a, I don't know, JPEG, PNG, whatever. Any more questions about that? No? Okay. So I'm very glad that colleagues are asking about how about videos. So at the beginning, I've sort of summarized what colleagues in the past 3-4 years, why they're using AI, what the benefits, and I create a video version of that. Hi, Abdel?
Yeah, how are you? I'm sorry for my question. If I need to add on Copilot in Microsoft Office and Excel, I need to make a subscription, or I can deal with the free version of Copilot.
Sorry, you're asking about the subscription. Do you have to?
So it will depend on your access through Greenwich, Abdul Rahman. So if you have a Greenwich University email address,
You can.
then
No,
you
I
should
don't
be
have
able
that.
to access Copilot through Greenwich. If you don't have a Greenwich University email address, because I know some partners don't have that, if you don't have that, then you won't be able to access Copilot through us. So it would be either through your home institution, or you could use a free version, which might not have quite as many features.
I got it. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Well, I hope you have that. But so if you do have that, then you can also use the video creation feature here. So once again, once you've logged in, left-hand side, you can select the, well, first of all, I want to get some prompts to help me create the videos. So I'm using the general chat first, text to text, to create some prompts to create video for my presentation. I'll upload the relevant documents. So I've got a set of slides, so it knows what video that I want to create, the content. So either you've got that on your OneDrive, or you can drag and drop from your file to Copilot chat. Then it's going to go off to generate some prompt ideas. So what kind of ideas to be included into the video. Then you can select the one that you find useful. So here I've got this one that I think would be quite useful. Copy that, go to create. It's the same area where you can select, you can create an image, create a video, create infographics, create a story. So colleagues, you mentioned about storifying, storybook using Google Gemini. Here, Copilot also has that. So you can select that as well. And there's a more button. So there are other kinds of things that you can create with Copilot. But here I'm selecting the tab, create a video, and paste the text that I have copied from the general chat. Here's multimodal. It's going to create a video for me. I'm just going to accelerate, but as you can see, it takes more time, given that it's computationally more heavy text and video. So you can play it and test it. So the different bars in the video, so these are the subsections of the video. They also have transcript. So feel free to make changes. I didn't like this version very much, so I'm just going to skip through it. But basically, I wanted to make changes. So some of the changes you can make include the transcript. So the transcript is AI generated as well. So you can see the text. If you don't like the text, change them. I think you also change the tone as well. I don't like that robotic tone. I want it to be a bit more confident. Then you can select those, then ask Copilot to regenerate the video. So it's changing the tone, changing the style. You can see how I sort of demonstrated the practice of iterating. Always check if you're not happy, make changes, provide more context, provide more instruction that will be more aligned to what you want. So ultimately, I've got this, and I find this to be a better version. Like I said, it took me about 2-3 minutes to generate that. I've got the set of slides as the basis of this video. And once you're done, there's an export and share button at the top. So if you remember, in many of the examples that I've shared with you, I always prefer exporting, saving that, be it a Word document, or now here, a video. I want to keep that as a separate copy. So even though I'm not going back to this session with Copilot, I always have another way to access the file and make further changes. So you can download and export. So it's going to be an MP4, which could be quite large. But I mean, we're also using Panopto, which you may know as the university's lecture capture tool. And many colleagues at Greenwich, we use that for flipped learning purpose. By that, we mean we show students the content before they attend the lecture. So they can come more prepared, and you can actually make use of the time during the lecture rather than talking about the very basic fundamental content that they can easily get from the video. They can be more engaged and discuss the ideas that they've learned. So if you want to create a video based on your PowerPoint content, and then use Copilot to generate that, of course, make revisions, make changes to make sure that's perfect. And then you can upload it to Panopto, which is our lecture capture tool. And then that video link can be shared on Moodle. And then you can tell students, please take a look at this overview of our topic of this week. So when we have the live session, they can come more prepared, and I expect you to be ready to engage in 1, 2, 3, these 3 questions in a group discussion, something like that. So instead of them coming in, sitting to listen to you only, which is great, but then again, you want them to be engaged, then you can actually use this, and it doesn't take you too much time as well. Any questions about this part? Would you be tempted to try some of these things that I've shared, or you're doing those already, or even more? I mean, those are very limited use cases, to be very honest with you. There's so many other things that you can do. I don't know whether any colleagues would like to share a bit more. I believe at the beginning, many of you have already kindly shared some of the things that you're doing. But then again, please try to experiment and do more. And once again, we're using Copilot. You may be more familiar with other tools, but as you can see, Copilot also has a lot of very useful and teaching-related specific features that will help you, which may not be available in the premium and yet non-educational licenses that you might subscribe to. Yeah. And once again, there's also a very important point, data security. You don't want your proprietary content, your IP to be just shared to any tools out there. They become part of the training data to train their models. You may not want that to be disclosed and leaked. And also, like I said, you're using Microsoft, so perhaps many of the files and documents that you have as you work with your colleagues are already shared on OneDrive. If you use other tools, you will have to set aside the privacy and data protection matter, but you will have to upload those documents to the other tools. And they also have limits as to how much you can upload attached to the chat. So using Copilot will allow you to seamlessly connect the OneDrive files to the chat, to the whatever, maybe the lesson planning, maybe the video creation, maybe the infographic creation seamlessly. So that is also very useful. I hope that helps. Thank you for your comments. And regarding innovative use cases, I briefly mentioned that I'm working on, you can also customize chatbots in Copilot as well. That's called Copilot Agent. Once again, if you record on the left-hand side, if you log into Copilot, left-hand side, you've got the general chat, you've got the create feature, you've got the teach feature, and a bit down, you've got what they call the agent feature, where you can actually create a customized chatbot. So if you do have access to the Copilot license that we provide at Greenwich, you can sort of basically create a chatbot, provide like instructions as to how that chatbot will interact with users, what's the purpose. It could be simply us answering questions for students regarding how they can, I don't know, improve their writing, for instance. And that could be made available to students as well. So there are ways to make innovative uses of Copilot. Any other ideas that I may have not thought of? Do let me know, even beyond this session. So I know that's a lot of content today. So there are some resources that I would like to share with you, some basic ones that we've got some Moodle courses on AI. I've mentioned about prompting. In the interest of time, we may not be able to go into all the details. So there is a link to a Moodle course about prompting. So we talked about the basic things that I've already covered. You should be including an instruction and or question, but you don't stop there. It's better if you provide more optional yet important elements in your prompt. So maybe you should specify your persona. So you being an educator, where, teaching whom, at what level, for what subjects, and any examples, any documents you can share, what output do you expect the AI to generate for you. The more you can specify, the less need for it to guess what you want, and the quicker you can work. The fact is, with all these AI tools, they always impose a certain level of usage limit. So if you don't provide precise and detailed ideas as to what you want, you have to go back spending your time to make revisions, to spend the usage limit of tokens, that is not going to be very productive. So it's better that you can think what you want and specify that in the prompt in the right way. But that said, it takes time to prompt AI. It's not always going to be, do you share the recorded session? I think it's recorded already. So yeah, what did I say? Yeah, I was just saying that it's always important to be more productive by prompting well, but it takes time to craft your prompt. I don't advise, personally, as far as I'm concerned, I don't always follow all these prompting techniques. Why? There are things that are quite simple. I just want to get the simple answer. Like I may just say, okay, when's the next bank holiday? I'm not going to give all the context. I don't need that. So in the interest of time, I don't over-provide or over-design, over-craft the prompt, unless I really have a big task to undertake. For simple answers, simple prompts would do. So I hope that kind of explains how AI could be used more effectively. So we also have some links to how we can use AI in teaching and learning. There are some documents on how to use AI responsibly. We also have subscription to LinkedIn Learning. So you might want to know what the latest features in Copilot. You might want your students to use Copilot in their assessment, but you may not have the time to explain to them how to use Copilot well. Then you can find the video courses and you can share those with them, maybe on Moodle, so they can access those and then be more prepared as they attempt the assessment using Copilot. So what else do I have for you? Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Any questions about this demo part? Hope I haven't missed any comments or questions in the chat. Yeah.
I think you're good, Jim. We've got about 10 minutes left.
Okay, well, always stop me for anything. I don't think I've missed any questions. Have I missed anything that I haven't answered in the chat? Please.
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I'm just going to go very briefly because the slides will contain everything. I'm always happy to come back and discuss more. We do have an AI guidance. There's a link to the AI guidance. There's a video of the AI guidance that students can also watch. In a nutshell, the university's position is that, yes, use AI, but it must be responsible, ethical. What does that mean? Basically, you shouldn't be using AI to replace your own work. So ultimately, still your work. You're just using AI to help you with your learning. And when you use AI, you should acknowledge and reference if needed. And never put in sensitive and personal information into AI. So if we're asking students to use other tools which may not be safe, then that in a way is not exactly complying with the AI guidance. And also for the purpose of ensuring equitable access to AI tools. Not everybody's able to pay for the GPT Plus or the higher versions of Claude, then we might have to be mindful that the assessment is not really designed for whoever's got access to better tools, but really testing students' learning outcome. Some guidance for students, the link will be available to you in the PowerPoint slides. And if they need to reference, we don't advise that they just simply reference, cite AI output. But if they need to, say for instance, in text-related output, I don't think people should be referencing AI. ChatGPT 2026 said that. But then again, when it comes to video generation, if you allow the use of, I think some colleague mentioned about presentation assisted by AI, maybe they're using infographics like what I did. I'm using Mentimeter to create my presentations. I'm using Copilot to create videos. Then I want to be transparent about it. Then referencing using AI tools for this particular output is quite important. Oh yeah, this material you have to use your university login to get that. But if you need more information about this, I think you should have access to it. Don't colleagues, these documents?
Yeah, quite a lot of it should be freely accessible on
Yeah.
the web pages.
Yeah, but if you need more information, I'm sure that we can provide that. But as far as students are concerned, if they use AI, they will have to declare it. So there is a declaration form as well. And also we do have an assessment misconduct procedure that pertains to misuse of AI. So if they just simply submit AI generated by submit work by AI in the assessment, that is plagiarism. So it's covered in the misconduct procedure. Just for your information, we ask colleagues, the program team, if they have to enhance their assessment, that may not be covered in existing document or program designs. They will have to go through a quality assurance process. So we do ask them to see if there's a need to enhance the curriculum assessment, then they will have to go through the process. This policy, these policies were introduced in 23, so it's like 3 years old already. I think we're in the process of updating them to be more clear as to what AI can be used for and what are the non-permissible areas. I'm just going to skip that. I think I mentioned that last time. We don't have an AI detection tool because it's not really reliable. We basically change assessment design. We use Turnitin similarity. So when students upload their work, if you have suspicions of whether they're AI generated, one of the ways to identify possible AI use is go to the reference list. AI tend to generate fake references. So if you use use Turnitin similarity tool, it compares it's got this database comparing the existing submitted work with the work of the student. If many of the references on the list are not highlighted, meaning that they're completely novel, new references, so that either means they are using something that's very, very recent, nobody has cited them yet, or they could simply be fake references. So if you see the references being non-highlighted, that may signal that it is a possible use of AI. Check for inconsistencies in the referencing styles. That could be an issue when it comes to AI-generated work. See whether the use of the references are connected to the arguments, whether they're coherent. So these are the things that we suggest colleagues to do because we don't see AI detection to be reliable. I think that's the situation now. And also answering Yusuf's point, process-based assessment is better than having simple like a text essay and product, and also trying to incorporate reflective elements. So you can ask students to reflect on how they've used AI, and also including other kinds of ways to perform the assessment, say, for instance, presentation, portfolios, etc. It makes it difficult for AI to generate the assessment. There is also a link to some guidance on formative assessment that will help us identify or verify student identities here, including in the slides. In some cases, it's not always perfect. I'm just showing you something that I've been trying. It works for me when I teach the PG cert. I always double check. So I've got reference list. I can ask Copilot to check whether the list is authentic. And if not, what possible issues are there with this list? So I've got this list of the topic that I teach, then it's able to go in and check, okay, DOI, whether the style is right. So if I've got some work, a list of references, I have to check it myself, of course. But then again, I can also use Copilot to assist me to see whether the list has any issues. So instead of just believing that maybe an AI detection tool, which is not reliable, we can also use Copilot to help with some aspect of checking, if that makes sense. But then again, it's never perfect. It's still AI. So we have to come back and see whether the assessment of the list is good enough. Some colleagues say it's useful. Some say that it's not always correct. But then again, at least it saves time and highlights some of the potential issues that we can focus on. I mean, ultimately, we don't have all the time to mark every single piece of assess work. So anything that we can use assess Copilot to help with the assessment process could be useful. I think I'm going to skip through this, but I mentioned about we're enhancing updating the AI policy. So we're going to incorporate more ideas as to what it means to be AI ready in the workplace, what we expect of our students, and how we can reflect that into the policy. We know that students are also, some of them are quite confused as to what is permitted. We say that we allow the use of AI, but some say that it could be considered cheating. So we want to be clearer to students to communicate what they should expect, what they're allowed to use AI for. So we hope to reflect those into the updated policy. I've mentioned about this new guidance or framework to assess different kinds of assessment. Are they highly risky when it comes to AI use? Are they not? So basically, it also helps to enhance, to bolster our assessment design. So just to let you know, in a nutshell, we categorize assessment design. Your program team should be doing that. So when there is an assessment design, they will have to ask a peer to see, okay, is it high risk, low risk? And if it's high risk, they will be expected to make revisions to ensure that it's less risky, essentially. So,
Ginny, I'm going to give you 1 minute and then we're.
Okay, I'm going to shut up very
cut you
soon.
off. Sorry.
But I'm just going to let you know that there are plenty of extra additional details in the PowerPoint slides, which can go into. It's not my intention to go through everything, but I hope that captures the important things. And yep, I will be back again next Thursday, and I will stop sharing now. And I think there's also a very important thing that I have to include is the evaluation. So I better just show this slide as Laura requested. But I think that pretty much captures the scope of this session. So getting your ideas is a peer learning process. We share about the latest practice when it comes to using AI in your institutions, with your students, what are the benefits, what are the challenges. The tool that we use is Copilot. There are also other AI embedded features in the existing tools of our subscription, Studiosity Plus, Mentimeter. You can also use it within your Outlook. As long as you've got your university credential with Greenwich, you can log in, and that opens the door to many AI features like creating videos, infographics. You can upload documents and then providing the context. There are ways to enhance your prompting with AI. There are courses that are provided for you. And we're also enhancing our AI policy. But the general ideas of the updated version, it's not yet finalized yet, but I think the key information has been provided in the slides. I hope that covers the things that you expect this session to cover, and I will hand it back to Laura.